So, of course, today, the big inflation report came out. So inflation came in at 5.6%. So if you guys who don't know, inflation needs to be at 2%. So that means they have to do everything they can to get inflation down to 2%. And as soon as inflation comes down, guess what else is going to come down? Mortgage rates. So whatever rate condition anyone's in right now, it's temporary, okay? So if they bought a home last year, like, oh, I bought my home last year with you, I overpaid, relax. When as soon as inflation comes down, you will gain your equity back. For those of you who have clients that kind of had a regretful buying, and those of you who have clients who are sitting on the fence, tell them, hey, as soon as inflation comes down, we will have lower mortgage rates. And if inflation is not down yet, and depending on where you're buying, do you see inventory? This is the time to get your feet wet and enter the market, because as inflation pulls back, more buyers will enter back into the market and you have a less chance to get your home. Okay. So that's one thing we're preaching to all of our buyers right now, is that get in right now before inflation comes down. Yes, as inflation comes down, you will see more inventory, but you'll also see more buyers. Are you ready to overbid again? And we already sampled that in California with this dream program coming out that ended in like 12 days. We saw there are buyers out there with big down payments just waiting. And they saw a program come out and they came out of the woodworks. And all of a sudden people are overbidding again. Okay. So maybe that program is gone, but as soon as rates get lower, what do you think is going to happen? So get your buyers excited and understand that, hey, don't sit on the sideline, because as soon as inflation comes down, you are really going to have to compete again. And as you know, that shelter inflation makes up about 45% of CPI, right? Consumer Price Index. So shelter inflation is housing rent. So if you saw today's CPI report, inflation, shelter inflation is coming down. So as soon as shelter inflation comes down, which weighs heavy on inflation, that's when you see the huge drop. We're probably going to see this huge drop. I know Barry Habib has said May 10th. I think June or July. The reason why I believe so, because June 2022 is when CPI was at its highest, which is inflation, right? When you say CPI, it means inflation. It was at 9.1%. That was off of May's number. So as soon as May's number comes out again in June at a lower number, you will see inflation come down drastically. And as you see inflation come down, get ready for lower rates, okay? So that's what's going on in the market right now. And this, the crazy thing about 2023 is that the government is doing everything they can to bring more buyers back in the market. And the reason why you need to understand that, you need to convey that to your people who want to buy, okay? Also your people who want to sell. Why do I say that? Think about this. On conventional loans, they just came out with a new rule that if you can make if you have any issues of hardship due to COVID-19, which ended 2 years ago, so there's using an excuse, you can skip mortgage payments for 6 more months and add it back as forbearance. That just came out. So if you have a conventional loan, you can't make mortgage payments, you can delay it. So these homes aren't going to hit the market for sale. If you have an FHA loan, they just added a 40-year amortization. So if you can't make mortgage payments due to COVID, or you have lack of funds coming in, now you're lowering the payment. So you're not seeing these properties hit the market. And it sucks to say that they're not letting nature take its course. Okay. Right. The circle of life. There's no circle of life, guys. Right. Typically, for people to buy a home, people have to sell. The circle of life has to go on. But they're not permitting that to happen by stopping these homes from going into foreclosure. It sucks, but that sometimes needs to happen. So if you're not seeing more inventory from foreclosures or people have to sell, now you have higher interest rates. What happens with the Fed, all these Fed rate hikes? Builders aren't building. There's no profitability. So you have people who don't have to sell if they're in a bad situation. You have builders who aren't building because rates are up, and you have homeowners. 38% of homeowners don't have mortgages, right? 66 to 68% have interest rates under 4%. You think they're going anywhere? Okay. And 95% have lower rates than today. So until rates come down, people aren't going to jump up to sell. Even if they do, you're dealing with, it's free. It just froze, right? It just froze.
Yeah, we can hear you.
So, okay. So even with what's called, I'm going to lose my words here. So even with, until rates come down, people aren't going to sell. Even if they sell, like if you have a 4%, you would need what? A solid 6 or 5 to sell. No one's going to trade up, right? With a 6 or 7. So you're not seeing more inventory. So now you have people who aren't forced to sell, builders aren't building, people who don't want to upgrade. And imagine if you are a homeowner and you have what? Over 500 grand in equity. If you upgrade and you put all that money into your new home, anything over 500,000, you have to pay capital gains on that. And guess what they're doing? They're proposing to raise capital gains. As an individual, anything over 250,000, even though you take all the money and you pump into your next other property, you like no cash in hand, you would have to pay capital gains on that money, right? I'm not saying I'm pro Biden or against Biden, but the new rule that he's trying to, the new act he's trying to propose, they're raising capital gains. So now with taxes, they're not allowing people to upgrade. And then they start unleashing all these down payment assistance programs. We don't need more buyers. We need more inventory. And the reason why I'm telling you all this is so you understand and have the deep conviction, we have a limited amount of inventory. If you truly care about your clients, the passion will come out your eyes and they will see your passion. You ever look into your spouse's eyes, give them that lip, right? You bite that lip, you give them that look. They know you got that passion, right? They know you bite your lip, right? You give them that passion, right? You get that John Buell, you get that LL Cool J. All right, no, that's my DoorDash look when the DoorDash pulls up, but you get what I'm saying, that conviction. So the reason why I give you all these statistics and these numbers, so you start building the conviction in here, because when you have it in here, it's going to come out here in your social. So the next handful of months, we will see rates pull back. And when we do, you will see a floodgates of buyers, but there will be a limited amount of inventory. So start preparing yourself. I'm probably going to have to write multiple offers. I need to start coming up with content and strategy to get these buyers into homes. You know, as you also know, over in China, they unlock some rules. You're starting to see Chinese people come over to back to Northern Cal again. There's gonna be bidding wars again. So this drought of rates, where rates were high and all the things that was going on, they were just slowing down demand and penting up demand, right? But it's going to be unleashed, and just be ready for it. So that's what's going on in the market.